Sorry, folks. I'm back here now. Took a little extra while to. This cat's still making noise. Yeah, it was pretty upset. I think I might be sick. And here she is now to make her presence known, the Grand Poobah cat. Let me get my face back here. So thanks to everybody that showed up tonight. This is actually way more popular than I thought it'd be. I'd like to give a thank you to Iron Helix, aka Jesse Davis, for all that he's done to support my stream, which is probably literally infinite things. He's probably listening to us right now on his iPad because he really loves Macintosh products. It's all he uses. Taking care of his dogs. Possibly being disco lighted by his disco lights. His stained glass disco. No one's going to get any of these jokes but Jesse, which is okay. So, let's talk about the Daily Bard. This is spoilers for the Hub campaign. So, if you don't want to be spoiled for the next week of Hub or the Daily Bard, probably step away for a couple minutes. I'll be taking suggestions from the audience here. I don't know how active they are. But if they want to jump in here and help me write this thing, I'm down with it. So if you're familiar with the Powered by the Apocalypse engine, which is Dungeon World, Apocalypse World, World Wrestling, RPG, you know that the Game Master has things called moves. They're things that you can do. How long should... You probably won't be spoiled by this, Jim. None of this is gonna... when I say Hub... This is probably going to be fine. I'm not going to do any background stuff for Hub. This is just going to be the Daily Bard. So, let's talk about moves. The Daily Bard always adheres to one of three moves, and that's how I structure it. It either reveals a piece of background information the player is either murdered, which is typically a person. It tells something that has happened someplace else. And the third move is it reveals something that is happening as a result of something the player's done. So let's look at what the titles I have up here now. I was sitting down in my chair and I just said these are the titles I want. So during the last game, we talked some more about Stahl's Torch. And so I think it would be interesting to have a backstory about Stahl's Torch while also talking about the future of it. And by the way, no problem, incipient. Man, I did not pronounce that well at all. I think you know who I'm talking to, though. It is. I've seen other GMs do prep, and they do it very differently than me. So I think everyone definitely has their own unique way of doing things. Back to Stahl's Torch. So this article, I want to talk about Stahl's Torch's military career. And I want to talk about the rumors that were addressed to kind of play up the fact that the players should be worried about the fact that they were responsible for the murder. They didn't specifically perform it. An article on Presto. This is going to be a backstory release. The players have kind of avoided looking into Presto. And so I kind of want to bring it back into the spotlight here. Just with like a comical aside about people taking it and no one really being able to find it. Over here we've got crossbows at humanity's feet. What we know about the Empire is that the Elven Empire is racist as shit. Each of the races thinks they're better than everybody else, but the elves hold themselves in the highest regard. And so... people blaming things on humanity is one of their things. Like, humanity and dwarves are the two easy targets. And so, this is kind of like a gun control story, really, about kind of the Middle Ages gun control issue, where people were using longbows, and you would take years and years of training to properly shoot a longbow. And then they came up with crossbows, and it was like, you hand someone a crossbow, they aim it in the general direction, and if you fire 500 of them, you probably hit something, rather than an arrow that just goes completely wild. Because the crossbow I'm not going to say it's more accurate. The flight path is much more predictable because of its weight, and it's always going to have the same general power. It's always going to shoot in a very predictable arc. So here we've got this world where there was an enormous war, and the losers were kicked out. They weren't killed, they were just sent to another place. Now we've got all of these armies that are no longer needed, and they've got all their weapons, and the Empire doesn't want them fighting each other, and so they need an excuse to start disarming people. And so this is kind of like political rabble-rousing. So we'll probably go into that. And then the Great Hunt, I'm stealing that. If you check these campaigns, I had, like, we'll call it an homage, but really I take a lot of ideas, usually 5 or more for every session, from things I've read. Hub is really meta. Hub is meta. So the Great Hunt is from Wheel of Time. And so I figured that these elves probably form great hunts every time there's big packs of undead threatening someplace. Because I figure undead probably congregate together, you know, for like self-defense purposes. And when you find a group of undead, you gotta have enough people to take them down, so you form up a hunt. It's kind of like a crusade. It's the hub version of a crusade, and you wipe them out. So let's start there. What do we want to say about the Great Hunt? Today in Hub. Go back to the Inquisitor. We'll give him a name too. His name was Inquisitor Sunbeam. I didn't come up with a last name for him because I just thought Sunbeam would be funny, given the fact he sets everything on fire. What's a good elven last name? Well, let's take 2 naturey things. Leaf, bark. Bark leaf. That kind of sounds good. Sunbeam, bark leaf. Again, the formation of a militia of townspeople to aid the Imperial Guard Auxiliary, which we've already seen a couple of times in play, in a march on the Hive City of Catacomb. While the existence... So, let's say people have long suspected. There's been a few undead attacks around the area. For instance, there was the undead attack at Narsh. People have suspected that there is such a place, but they haven't been able to prove it. So we'll say, while the existence of a Hive City existing... No, we already said existence. Hive City has been put forth as a theory by the Wizards Guild. We'll call back another character. We'll bring in Lord Dragon again, who's like the lieutenant to the Guildmaster. Lord Dragon has always shot down such theories. No, postulations. Postulations kind of sounds really sciencey, and Lord Dragon's a real punch fist kind of guy. So theory's fine. Postulation is a guy with chalk. That's not someone doing stuff. So what do we want? This needs to be... The Daily Bard is kind of written and mostly owned, like they're forcing the people to write what they want, so it's going to be like this glorious campaign requires additional manpower, and the Empire has graciously supplied arms and armor and coin for any who take up the eagle. No, the turkey, right. Turkey is the symbol of the empire. So the next line is going to be the one that ends with a triple dot. That's kind of that continued on the next page thing. Inquire today. Inquire at your local prefecture office or guard barracks. How you too can ... Bam, done. Alright, crossbows. Something racist from the halflings. Nope, we need to turn off. Whoa. Oh, yeah, I can just undo that. Yeah, I hit Control V instead of Control B. Let's see. Court rulings from the World Council today continue to put off the decision to pass legislation on crossbow ownership. Now, how do we blame humanity for this? So this is the halflings are moving in, but the gnomes are the legal experts, so yeah, renowned gnome legal expert. We need something legally sounding. So his first name is not going to be legal sounding, but his clan name probably will be. So his name will be Turbis Ink Bottle. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. As presented, alternate theories. Now we use theories up in the other one. Alternate. What do we want to use here? Alternate has presented an alternate case. Evidence suggesting that crossbow ownership, now that weapon ownership by race, but by not ethnic, financial. Yeah, by financial capability. I'm going to say legacy weapons, because these are the weapons that came from the war. Crimes committed with these legacy... Oh, you're loud as shit right now. Alright, come hang out. Welcome to Cat Butt Land, where the cat shows her butt on the friggin' camera. If you're not hanging out on my shoulders, you're not hanging out here, because I'm not going to have you destroy the green screen for the millionth time. Why don't you just sit here? Huh? Huh? Yeah. Just sit down. See me struggling with this cat? I'm going to put you in a cosplay outfit, and you're not going to like it if you don't calm down. Okay? Huh? Yeah, that's right. You don't like cosplay. Everyone wants to see you be a shark, but you don't want to be a shark. Alright, you're down. We're done with you. We'll do one more line here. Committed by his legacy weapons are divided. No, we already said divided. Are used by, and then rather than finish the sentence, we'll do the triple dot, so I don't have to finish what I was saying. What to go into from here? I want to save Stahl's torch for last. Okay, Presto. So this is a flat piece. So Presto's this drug that when you take it, You stand still and you just nod, and you're not really aware of what's happening around you, but your body still functions as if you're a normal human being. But you think that you're some sort of big raging barbarian whose veins are bulging, and you're like, rah! But it's only in your head. And there's no real test, like there's no blood test or no breathalyzer, no urine analysis, because it's part alchemical, part magical, and part medicinal. And they all kind of blend together. It says devious drug. It doesn't really have a purpose that we know of. I know what it's for, but I don't want to share it right now. So, Presto has finally hit the streets of Hub today. Finally. And this reporter scored some of that. Some good drug name. I almost say like that sweet stash. Scored some of that sweet stash. When you sling this dope. I want this to be like this reporter tries to be hip, but he actually just ends up sounding like a complete tool. So I like where this is going. When you sling this dope, you get an amazing feeling. Like you are raging out like a boss. Your body like a square. You are a friggin' beast. Hulking out. And feeling the heat. ... That's all we're gonna have there. I don't really know what I want to put in the spore report, so probably gonna cover the Parmigiana incident. And we gotta do the cover-up, so we gotta have the guards that were involved give testimony that was like we were vampirically controlled or something like that. So they were like paid off. So let's do that. Reports are trickling in from Taj. Oops. Today. No, we use today a lot. Taj, that. Lord Rufus Parmigiana. Lord Rufus, or as he is now known, vampiric death cult Rufus, the Dark Lord of the North. I feel like they're doing a real Slayer job on this guy. Controlling most of the city government with enchantment magic and dark spell ritual. So, we didn't really go into it, but Rufus was a extremely competent human governor for this city. So his family, like all of humanity's, the loyal elven humans, got together and pushed for this settlement expansion east. And the elves were like, oh, it's just humans, I'm sure they'll fuck it up. And not only did they not mess up, but they have this amazing trade route going on. Smuggling is at an all-time low. So while a lot of crime comes in and out of the gates of Hub, with Kitajaj, with their docks controlling everything going in and out, they're actually like super militant. and no one sneaks onto their boats. They actually check stuff. Like, the parties so far have snuck things in and out of Hub all the time. Doesn't happen in Kitajaj. I mean, solid down. So they're really showing up the governments, and I'm thinking Rufus said something at a council meeting that just angered people, and they decided it was time for him to die. And they needed a narrative. They needed a story as to why he died. And saying he was a vampire works perfectly, especially with all the undead stuff happening in Narsh and Catacomb. It's a great time to plant evidence. And when it comes down to it, they just bribe people. And it works perfectly. It's worked for them for hundreds of years. That's why the elves are the dominant race. They use kind of subtlety where they have to, and force when they need to. Okay, so what else do we want to say? We're doing the slander job. We don't really need to rub that in. We need to talk about the guards. His guardsmen, the surviving 5, under oath, that they were tricked into service via blood magic. That always sounds good. No one ever says blood magic. It's like, happy, friendly blood magic. Yeah, my friends and I got together. We cut our hands and pressed them together and made friendship rainbows using the magic as a result. So, the Inquisitor on site conferred with local clergy and cleared them all of remaining control and vampiric influence. We need a bit more here, so probably... have a good night, Callie Damon. Man, I'm messing these names up left and right. Thank you for coming out, by the way. And we'll talk during the week about doing some shout-outs. Let's see here. We need to keep the narrative going. Something about vampires. Dark Lord Rufus was seen sprinting from his manor with a contingent of dwarven thralls viewing unholy rituals and fighting Inquisitor. So this guy's going to play up his own position. Inquisitor, Sunbeam, Barkleaf. In a magic duel. Destroyed the local manor. And most of the surrounding farmland. In the after... ... Bam, done. That's kind of how that goes. I'll come back to Stella's Torch later. So let me cut a sideways thing here. We're just going to pop back to the BRB screen, but we're not actually going away. I just need a buffer zone when I chop the video up. So here's 2:23:40. That is the end of Hub.